Hi, my name is Tori and I am a doctor of physical therapy who specializes in pelvic dysfunction, which means I treat things that can go wrong around the pelvis, including sexual dysfunction. In fact, I treat women who are having painful sex every day, multiple times a day. Today, I want to talk about what actually makes a vagina tight, because there is a lot of misinformation on the internet and apparently in the medical community as well. I was inspired to make this video because of a surgical procedure that some of the women that I am treating have undergone, known as the husband stitch. The husband stitch is where a physician essentially stitches the vaginal opening, like the actual entrance to the vagina, tighter or smaller or closer together than it was before the procedure. Said another way, the physician makes the circumference of the vaginal opening smaller. The idea here is that making the vaginal opening smaller will make the vagina tighter and make heterosexual sex better. Now, there's a lot to break down here, but the main assumption is that the actual vaginal opening, as in the entrance to the vagina, is what determines tightness. And that line of thinking is fundamentally flawed. It's simply incorrect. That's not how vaginas work. My intention in making this video is to share how vaginal tightness is actually achieved and to hopefully empower those listening with knowledge so that if a physician offers you or your partner this procedure, whether you just delivered a baby vaginally or maybe you are undergoing some other sort of surgery where the physician has to work through the vagina or transvaginally, you can make an informed decision about your body coming from a place of knowing and hopefully spare yourself from potentially years of painful sex. So, first and foremost, let's talk about what actually makes a vagina tight. We have to zoom out a little bit and talk about vaginal anatomy and also what happens to the vagina when a woman is sexually excited. So the first thing that needs to be understood is that the vagina is kind of like a wine glass. The actual vagina, as in the vaginal canal, is kind of like the stem of the wine glass, and that canal, the vagina, it leads up into the pelvic bowl, which would be the actual place where you would pour the wine. The vagina is essentially a tube, and above that tube you have your cervix, and above your cervix you have your uterus. This is why when a woman delivers a baby, the baby moves through the uterus and then the cervix and then out through the vagina into the world. Now, a vagina that's not sexually aroused is like 3 to 4 inches long. Said another way, the stem of the wine glass, when it's not sexually aroused, is like 3 to 4 inches long. But when you're sexually excited, the vagina elongates and expands. It grows in length, it grows in width, it releases a natural lubricant, and also your cervix and your uterus actually move up towards your head to make a little bit more room in the pelvic bowl so that whatever it is that is penetrating the vagina is less likely to actually hit the cervix. You can imagine that with our wine glass. If the stem is the vaginal canal and where you'd pour the wine is the pelvic bowl, and this highlighter is the cervix and the uterus, in the sexually unexcited pelvis, we've got the vaginal canal, we've got the pelvic bowl, and here we've got our cervix and uterus just kind of floating in the bowl. And then when a woman is sexually excited, the cervix and uterus move up towards the head to make more room in the bowl for whatever it is that is penetrating the vagina. So then, onto vaginal tightness. There are muscles that surround the vaginal canal and surround the pelvic bowl, and these muscles are called your pelvic floor muscles. If you want to deep dive into the pelvic floor and its general anatomy and function, I have a different video up that you can check out. It's actually one of the very first videos that I made. But for our purposes, know that this group of muscles, just like any other group of muscles, can become weak. They can lose strength, they can lose endurance, and they can lose tone, which, if you imagine them kind of surrounding that vaginal canal, if they lose strength, if they lose endurance, if they lose tone, it can feel like looseness. Now, let's revisit this procedure, the husband stitch. The visual examples that I am about to use are not meant to be crude or disrespectful to vaginas in any way. I have a huge amount of respect for women and women's bodies, and I hope that that comes across in this video and other videos. Know that I just want you, the viewer, to be able to see, understand, and create a mental image of what it is that I'm trying to convey. Do you guys remember this toy from when you were a kid visiting like a museum? It would always be in the gift shop section of museums when I was a kid. If we imagine that this toy represents a strong, healthy, well-toned pelvic floor, I think you can imagine that something penetrating this strong, well-toned vaginal canal would feel tightness through the entirety of the experience. Same thing in the pelvic bowl. If the muscles that live inside of the bowl, the deepest layer of your pelvic floor, are well toned, are strong, are tight, there's less space in the bowl, more tightness in the vagina, if you will. You can kind of imagine then, if we made the vaginal opening here smaller, it wouldn't change the experience of tightness throughout the vaginal canal or high in the pelvic bowl. Instead, it might prevent the vaginal opening, part of the vaginal canal, from naturally expanding and elongating like it does when a woman is sexually excited. And it might cause a woman pain with initial penetration, but it won't do anything for tightness. On the other end of the spectrum, if we imagine a vagina that has a lower tone, weaker pelvic floor, you can imagine there's less muscle bulk through the actual vaginal canal, and then less muscle bulk in the actual pelvic bowl, in the deepest layer of someone's pelvic floor. This would create that feeling of looseness. But guess what? Making the vaginal opening smaller does nothing for the looseness within the vaginal canal and in the actual pelvic bowl. Again, it might prevent the vaginal opening from naturally expanding as it does when a woman is sexually aroused, and it might create pain with initial penetration, but it does nothing for tightness. Instead, the outcome that I see in my clinic is painful sex. It hurts when things are inserted because the vagina is meant to expand and elongate. And now the opening is sensitive, painful, and stitched too tight. A few more important things that I want to say. If you are a young woman who has never had a baby and you are watching this video in hopes to make your vagina tighter, I want you to know that on the spectrum of tone, you probably already have a higher tone pelvic floor. There is such a thing as being too tight, and if you are already having painful sex, Kegels and other pelvic floor muscle exercises will probably make that problem worse, not better. If you can imagine that your pelvic floor is like my bicep, and this is a contract or a Kegel, this is a relax, and this is a bear down, defecate, pass gas, have a baby, and a relax, you want your pelvic floor to be able to move through that full range of motion. You want to be able to Kegel, relax, bear down, relax. Women that have lower tone pelvic floor, it means that they're not resting here, they're resting here. You ask them to contract, they try to contract, they don't have access to their full range of motion, and they feel weak. But women can have high resting tone too, and that means that instead of resting somewhere here in the middle, they're either resting way up here, and you ask for contractions, but they feel weak, and they're not weak, they just have no access to their range of motion, or they're resting here, you ask for multiple contractions, and they just get stuck at the top of their range, and then they have a really hard time letting go. Can you imagine that if you had high tone and you fell into either camp, you either have a really hard time getting back to resting tone, or you're already stuck up here? Can you see that doing Kegels, like repetitively contracting, would be bad? It wouldn't be helpful. You wouldn't go to the gym and just work out your bicep here. If you have higher resting tone, then walking around doing Kegels all day would be like walking around flexing your biceps all day long and never letting them rest. You can imagine that over time, you might have arm pain, you might have difficulty carrying objects. You might even have difficulty typing at your computer and doing other activities that involve your arm. The exact same thing is true of your pelvic floor. Over time, you might become too tight and present with pelvic floor dysfunction that mimics a too tight pelvic floor, like urgency frequency. You feel like you have to pee all the time, and when you do feel like you have to pee, it's incredibly urgent. Or maybe constipation, or maybe painful sex. I also wanted to say, if you are watching this video and you are starting to recognize that maybe the painful sex that you are experiencing has to do with the husband stitch, use the link in the description below. I've got a link to a pelvic directory. If you live in the United States, you can just type in your zip code and find a pelvic provider in your area. Know that I treat this all the time and that it is treatable. You can get better. Sex can be not only non-painful, but pleasurable again. Lastly, I want to address the idea that the husband stitch is a myth. It usually isn't sold to women with that title. In fact, I can think of 2 women right off the bat who were undergoing hysterectomies or the removal of the uterus for other reasons, and the husband stitch procedure was sold to them as like a cherry on top. It was like, hey, I'm already gonna be in the vicinity. Do you want me to do a little extra thing that will make your vagina tighter and make sex better? Can you blame these women for saying yes? When I put myself in that position, if I didn't know any better, I feel like maybe I would say yes. All of this to say, the husband stitch is a very real procedure. It's not studied because technically it's not a valid procedure, but it's real and it's happening to women right now as we speak. It is being sold under the guise of better, tighter sex, when in reality, that's not how vaginas work. Imagine a world where we, women and men, understood this important part of our bodies, where these taboo topics were talked about widely because everybody has a pelvis. That's the world I want to live in, and that is the world I am trying to create. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it. Let's get this information out into the world. Let's make it general public knowledge. Please feel free to comment anything below in the comment section, including content suggestions. If you have a request for a topic that you'd like me to cover, please let me know. I'm super open to all requests. Also, if you want to learn more about female anatomy, specifically the clitoris, or if you want to learn more about the female orgasm, I have videos up covering both of those topics. You can definitely go and check those out. I have also created the Female Orgasm Survey. It is a 3-question survey, 2 yes or no, 1 open-ended question. And the intention is to gather information and explore the female orgasm experience. So if you have female genitalia and you want to participate in that survey, there will be a link in the description, and I so appreciate it. Finally, subscribe to my channel for more content surrounding pelvic health. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!